Welcome to the Deep Dive. You've brought us some really powerful excerpts today from Chapter 7 of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
That's right.
And I think our mission today is to really get under the skin of this chapter, focus on, what happens immediately after young William Frankenstein's murder and the accusations that kind of follow.
Exactly. It's such a crucial chapter, a real pressure cooker of grief and suspicion. We see Victor, of course, but also his father, Alphonse, Elizabeth, young Ernest, Clerval, and tragically Justine Moritz. Everyone's just reeling.
And the central questions are just, they're gut-wrenching. How could this happen to William? And then why Justine? She seems so close to the family, and suddenly she's the suspect. It just throws everything into disarray.
It really does.
So the chapter kicks off with Victor getting that letter from his father. You can almost feel the blow landing, can't you?
Oh, absolutely. Alphonse's letter it's quite something. You notice how he really tries to prepare Victor, that reluctance, talking about tears and wretchedness, before he even says what happened.
Yeah.
It says so much about him, his concern for Victor. It's not just, relaying facts. It's this act of care, even in horror.
Definitely. He can barely bring himself to say it directly. And then he recounts the walk, plain Palais, this ordinary evening just turns nightmarish. Those little details, William and Ernest wandering off, it makes it feel so sudden, so brutal.
And what strikes me is Ernest's first description, William just running off to hide. It's so innocent. It just highlights how fragile everything is, how quickly darkness can just intrude. And then the search, the panic building, finding the body. Alphonse lays it out factually, but it's still just devastating.
And that description, the physical detail, stretched on the grass, livid and motionless, the print of the murderer's finger was on his neck. That just sticks with you. It's so raw.
Horrifyingly direct, isn't it? And then Elizabeth, her reaction, oh God, I have murdered my darling child. It's pure grief, but also this immediate guilt.
Right, because of the miniature.
Exactly. Connecting it to that missing locket of Victor's mother, the one William wanted to wear, it instantly creates this layer of self-blame, this misplaced sense of responsibility. It kind of plants a seed,
Seed of suspicion almost, though illogical. And yet, even in all that pain, Alphonse tells Victor to come home not for vengeance, but with comfort, with kindness. What does that tell us about the family?
It suggests a deep foundation of empathy, I think. Even in this unimaginable pain, his first instinct is healing, unity, not retribution. It sets him apart, maybe, from what you might expect. Compassion is clearly core to them.
So Victor gets this letter. Any initial joy about hearing from home is just gone. What's his immediate reaction?
Total devastation. The whiplash from longing for news to this horror. It's brutal. And Clerval sees it, tries to console him. The usual words about William being at peace, the survivor's suffering.
Yeah, standard comforts.
Standard, but Clerval also uses the word irreparable, which really underscores the depth of the loss for all of them.
And Victor decides instantly, right, he has to go back to Geneva. It's like a reflex.
Yes, absolutely. But notice how that initial rush, that haste, changes as he gets closer. The journey itself becomes heavy, full of apprehension. The familiar landscape, which should be comforting, now just mirrors his own dread. It feels tainted.
And he's been away, 6 years? He reflects on how much might have changed, and there's this terrible irony now, knowing what has changed. The world he left is gone.
It really is. And that 2-day stop in Lausanne, it's interesting, he needs a breather, a moment of peace before facing the full horror. Nature offers that temporary peace. The lake, the mountains, even now.
But then he arrives near Geneva at night, can't get into the city, ends up in Secheron. It feels so ominous, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Why do you think he hesitates?
It's almost like he senses the darkness around his home, and he's drawn, maybe morbidly, maybe subconsciously, to the scene of the crime itself. Crossing the lake at night just amps up that unease. It sets the stage.
And the storm.
Yeah.
The storm over Mont Blanc, the lightning, the thunder, it's such potent imagery.
Oh, classic Shelley. Pathetic fallacy, right. The weather perfectly mirroring Victor's internal chaos, and then, boom, that flash of lightning.
He sees it.
He sees the creature. Just a glimpse, but the description is chilling. Gigantic stature, deformity, more hideous than belongs to humanity. He knows. Instantly.
No doubt at all. He was the murderer. I could not doubt it. The sight just confirms his worst fear, connects his creation directly to this atrocity. A terrifying moment of clarity.
Exactly. And the creature vanishing up Mont Salève, it leaves Victor holding this terrible knowledge, crushing responsibility. He knows the truth, but what can he do?
That internal struggle must have been torture. He knows who did it, but telling anyone. His story sounds insane. The fear of being locked up.
Yeah.
It's an impossible dilemma. What do you think weighs more heavily, the guilt or the fear?
Oh, it's a tangle, isn't it? The guilt over creating this wretch, as he calls him, is huge. But the fear of being seen as mad, the social ruin, the sheer impossibility of anyone believing him, that's just as powerful. He's trapped.
And he rationalizes staying silent, doesn't he? He thinks, well, even if they believe me, how could anyone possibly catch this thing? It's sort of a desperate justification.
Yeah, it's pragmatic in a grim way. He feels powerless. Telling the truth seems futile and personally catastrophic. So he makes that decision, keep the secret.
Which leads him finally home. Ernest meets him. The grief is just thick in the air. Ernest mentions Elizabeth blaming herself, echoing the father's letter. But then the bombshell. The murderer has been discovered, and it's Justine.
Victor's reaction is pure disbelief, outrage. Good God, how can that be? He knows it wasn't her. It's this visceral rejection of the very idea.
But the evidence against her, it's all circumstantial, isn't it? Yet in their grief and shock, it seems damning. Her illness after the murder, finding the miniature in her pocket.
It paints a picture, however misleading. It shows how grief and fear can just cloud judgment, make people desperate for answers, even wrong ones. That miniature, a symbol of love, gets twisted into proof of guilt.
And Ernest mentions Justine seemed confused, which just adds fuel to the fire. It's this cascade of unfortunate timing and misinterpretation. And the trials that day, the urgency is immense. Victor's stuck.
Utterly stuck, and despite the evidence, despite his own father now believing Justine is guilty, calling her ungrateful, depraved, harsh words, fueled by perceived betrayal, Victor knows she's innocent.
And Elizabeth. Elizabeth. Her statement, alas, who is safe if she be convicted? I rely on her innocence as certainly as I do upon my own. It's so powerful. What does that say about her versus Victor?
Elizabeth embodies loyalty, empathy. Her saying that publicly shows this moral clarity that Victor kind of lacks right now, lost in his fear and secrecy. She represents trust, connection. He's isolated.
And Victor promises her, doesn't he? He says Justine's innocence will be proven, but he knows. How can he keep that promise without revealing everything? The tension is just unbearable.
Exactly. The chapter ends right there, on that knife edge. This profound injustice hanging over them. Victor trapped by his creation, his fear, while an innocent woman faces trial for a crime he knows she didn't commit.
So let's recap. We've seen William's murder through Alphonse's devastating letter, Victor's journey home filled with dread, that horrifying glimpse of the creature confirming its guilt, and Victor's fateful choice to stay silent. Now, poor Justine is accused on flimsy evidence, and Victor carries this awful secret.
The stage is set for tragedy upon tragedy, really. Victor's internal conflict is just immense.
Which really makes you think. Put yourself in Victor's shoes. You have this knowledge, you see an innocent person accused, but you're terrified of the consequences if you speak up. What would you do? What weighs heavier?
It's a profound question. This chapter really dives deep into responsibility, guilt, the nature of justice or injustice, and just how far the consequences of our actions can reach.
It definitely leaves you thinking about culpability, doesn't it? Will Justine be convicted? Will Victor ever break his silence? It's a deeply unsettling place to leave things. Thanks for exploring this chapter with us.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.